India 2020, A Vision for the New Millennium, by A.P.J. Abdul Kalam and Y.S. Rajan, read by Pradeep Kumar. After one of the talks delivered by Dr. Kalam, a 10-year-old girl came up to him for his autograph. "What is your ambition?" he asked her. "I want to live in a developed India," she replied without hesitation. This book is dedicated to her and the millions of Indians who share her aspiration. If those who think to achieve have a firm and focused mind, they will realize what they thought of, and even as they have thought of. Thirukural. Chapter 1. Can India become a developed country? All the brothers of the poor despise him. How much more do his friends go far from him? He pursues them with words, but they are gone. Old Testament Proverb 19:7. What makes a country developed? The obvious indicators are the wealth of the nation, the prosperity of its people, and its standing in the international forum. There are many indicators regarding the wealth of a nation: the gross national product, GNP, the gross domestic product, GDP, the balance of payments, foreign exchange reserves, rate of economic growth, per capita income, etc. In addition, the volume of trade, the share in international trade, both imports and exports, and rate of growth in both these also provides an idea about the strength of the economy and its ability to sustain the wealth created and to create more. Economic indicators are important, but they provide only a part of the picture. The numbers, impressive though they may appear, can veil considerable human misery, especially that of the common people. In this context, I and Rajan have often discussed something I observed during my stint at the Defence Research and Development Laboratory, DRDL, Hyderabad. I came across 3 persons there who became, in my mind, points of reference that called me back unceasingly to certain issues. Venkat had 2 sons and a daughter. All were graduates and employed. Living in the same area was Kuppu, who had 3 sons. He succeeded in educating only one. He lived in a rented dwelling. Karupan had 2 daughters and 1 son. He was semi-employed, could not educate any of them because of poverty, and had no regular dwelling place. Was it not possible for him to merely give a normal life to his offspring, and not an unrealistic or extraordinary one? A reasonable lifespan, an occupation that would provide them basic comforts and good health care? This is our dream of a developed India. Per capita income can indicate the wealth in the hands of people. Per capita income does not indicate that they all have the same amount of money. It is the average of the rich and poor. The same per capita figure also does not indicate the amount of well-being within a country, or even within a state or region. For purposes of global comparisons, a new parameter such as purchasing power parity is nowadays being used. Complex models are also being discussed, debated, and used as indices of human development. All of them only present certain facets of living conditions. These statistics do not indicate the long-term sustainability of the quality of life achieved by people. People and development. Many parameters are utilized to indicate how well people are fed. Their overall nutritional status, the availability of good nutrition during various phases of their growth and lives, the average life expectancy, the infant mortality rate, the availability of sanitation, the availability of drinking water and its quality, the quantum of living space, broad categories of human habitat, the incidence of various diseases, dysfunctions, disorders or disabilities, the access to medical facilities, literacy, the availability of schools and educational facilities, various levels of skills to cope with fast-changing economic and social demands, and so on. One can include many other indicators of the quality of life. Still, there is a nagging worry when we apply the talisman prescribed by Gandhiji. Gandhiji's strikingly simple criterion was that every action proposed or contemplated should, in its implementation, wipe the tears of a poor and downtrodden person. He emphasized that only when we have wiped the tears from the faces of all have we truly arrived as a nation. Even when one applies the much less stringent Nehruvian vision for the elimination of ignorance, illiteracy, poverty, disease, and inequalities in opportunities, the task of realizing such a vision through the missions that would follow appear difficult. They did not appear difficult at the time of our independence. Most Indians were ignited by the vision of our tryst with destiny. Are we, as a nation, still inspired with that vision after 50 years? We are not unaware of the growing pessimism and even cynicism when one discusses the question of India reaching the status of a developed nation. We believe, moreover, that while aggregated indicators are important, it does not make sense to achieve a developed status without a major and continuing upliftment of all Indians who exist today, and of the many more millions who would be added in the years to come. They should all have a secure and enjoyable present, and also be in a position to look forward to a better future. Such a developed India is what we are looking for. I was in my teens when India became independent. The headmaster of my school used to take us to hear the news on the only available radio. We used to hear of the events in Delhi and many speeches and commentaries. I used to distribute the morning newspaper, Dinamani, to households in Rameshwaram to help my brother with his work. While going on my daily morning round, I also read the news items. One report which particularly struck me appeared in the heady days following independence. It was a time of celebration, and the country's leaders were gathered in Delhi, addressing themselves to the momentous tasks that faced the government. At this moment, however, far from being at the centre of power, the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi, was away in Noakhali, caring for the riot victims and trying to heal the wounds inflicted by communal rioting. How many persons would have such courage of conviction as did Gandhiji at a time when the nation was at his command? It is that kind of deep and unshakable commitment to the well-being of all Indians that underlies the vision of a developed India. Strategic strengths. The achievement of independence was of utmost importance to us. The implications of subservience to another power remain as abhorrent today in this era of economic rather than military domination. Globalization, which means integration with the world economy, brings the influence of external forces into our society. Some experts may point out that these are economic or trade or market forces, and they have beneficial influence in terms of developing our core competencies in areas in which we have comparative advantage. We also share the view that competition, both internally and with other global players, would be useful to make the country efficient and strong. But we would also like to point out that developed countries have set up several non-tariff barriers which strike at the roots of ideal competition based on market forces. These are mostly aimed at denying opportunities to other countries to reach a developed status. Even when one country prepares to cope with a set of barriers introduced by these developed countries, either through their own laws or through multilateral treaties, a new set of complex barriers crops up. Even a simple analysis of many of these international or global transactions indicates a much deeper fact: the continuous process of domination over others by a few nations. India has to be prepared to face such selectively targeted actions by more powerful players, even when it tries to march ahead to realize its vision of reaching a developed status. Issues of national security are no longer simple considerations of defense, but are closely intertwined with many aspects of trade, commerce, investment, as well as creation and use of a knowledge base. What appears to be emerging is a new kind of warfare. If a country does not learn to master these new realities of life, all our aspirations to ensure the prosperity of our people may come to naught. This does not mean the advocacy of isolation or going back to the concepts of a nut and bolt form of self-reliance. We need to address newer and more sophisticated concepts of protecting our strategic interests. I recently spoke on our vision of national security. I said, a nation is made great by its people, and people in turn become important citizens of that great nation. By importing non-strategic systems for defense, strategic systems will not be available. A nation will not be able to defend both its economic freedom and security, as this will only perpetuate their dependence on other nations.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?